Good evening, Bahamas. Coming up tonight, an F&M MP admits there is a lot of work to do in the party as the election season begins. How long will it be before we see the numbers for Bahamas Jungle Carnival? And Sean A. Miller takes home the gold in Shanghai. Welcome to our news. I'm Kyle Joaquin. Thanks for joining us. Topping news tonight. Our news had an interesting run-in with Fort Charlotte MP Dr. Andy Rollins this past week. We caught up with him outside the House of Assembly to get his thoughts on Alfred Sears being named the PLP's candidate for Fort Charlotte and possibly being his opponent if he is the F&M's candidate for the area. But here's what Rollins had to say.
Let's deal with the F&M's business. Let's make sure that we ensure that the party is fit and ready to contest this next general election.
So you're not all concerned?
Most important item of business is to ensure the party's readiness for the next general election. There's no fear. This government is for the taking. If you can't see that, you're not living in the same country that I'm living in.
Sears served as MP for Fort Charlotte for 2 terms under the PLP before he left frontline politics in 2012. He was replaced with Rollins, but after Rollins fell out of love with the government, he crossed the floor and joined the opposition F&M along with his colleague Bamboo Town MP Renwood Wells.
The F&M is primed to decisively win this next election unless it is not put in proper fighting form.
So you're saying the F&M is ready?
Sorry?
You're saying the F&M is ready?
What I am saying is the first item of business is to ensure that the F&M is ready. There's too much going on within the party right now that must be resolved. And until or unless it is resolved, it's not time to talk about individual seats.
Eventually, we got an answer from Rollins as to whether or not he feels threatened by the presence of Sears in Fort Charlotte during the next general election. He implied Sears is only a big name.
You understand where I'm coming from?
No, so you're saying you're not concerned about Mr. Sears?
Oh, come on. Let me ask you this question. In the last general election, how many big name persons of the then governing party lost their seats?
Quite a few of them. Quite a few of them.
Okay. Is it unusual in this country for people to go into an election as persons who are well-known senior members of parties and lose? Is it unusual? So what do you fear?
I don't fear anything. I'm asking about you.
No, I fear nothing. Nothing at all. That's why I stand on my feet and I say what I have to say in here.
But after all that, he said this is the bigger question that needs to be answered.
Is the F&M as a party ready to fight this next election? And if it's not, then and only then do we have something to fear.
Well, Free National Movement leader Dr. Hubert Minnis is urging Bahamians to vote their conscience when it comes to all 4 questions on the gender equality referendum. Simone Davis has the story.
Minnis, who has called for an apology from the Christie administration for campaigning against the 2002 referendum, said the only way Bahamians can vote fairly is if they read the bills for themselves and ensure that they understand them before voting.
With the entire referendum, I have said to the Bahamian public, and I say again, listen to the issues, be educated, analyze, understand, because you're voting for a future. Understand what you're voting on. You must be properly educated. Then vote your conscience.
When asked how he intends to vote on June 7th, Minnis said,
I said what I said. My vote in Parliament is on record.
Minnis was also asked his thoughts on the public spat between Tall Pines MP Leslie Miller and a member of the transgender community after Miller said members of the LGBT community should be exiled to their own island.
Leslie Miller has its own views, and sometimes it's in left field, sometimes it's right field, sometimes it's central.
Reporting for our news, I'm Simone Davis.
Another holiday weekend has been marred with tragedy. This as a man riding a motor scooter is killed. According to police, around 6 last night, the man was driving along St. Vincent Road when he was struck by a 1998 Honda Integra. He was rushed to hospital but died hours later from the injuries sustained. The driver of the Integra was treated for minor injuries and has since been released. Well, it could be a while before we see the post-mortem of the 2016 Bahamas Junkanoo Carnival event. According to the Festival Commission's CEO, Roscoe Dame, officials are currently going through the numbers, like how many people attended, how much of the budget was actually spent, and how much was made from the three-day festival.
I just had a meeting with our accounting team who's putting together the financials and the rest of it. I don't want to give a time, but in a reasonable amount of time, we will be able to publish our report as well as the financials for Bahamas Junkanoo Carnival. But rest assured that we have a professional team of financial controllers as well as the Ministry of Finance going through the whole exercise of ensuring that the numbers that we report are accurate.
Well, last year's carnival went $4 million over budget. This year, Dame said they've learned from their mistakes, and from what they've seen so far, all the press around Junkanoo Carnival has been good. Thousands showed up for the Music Masters final on Friday night, where Trinidadian soca artist Destra closed out the show. And the next morning, hundreds played mass in the streets for the Road Fever March. In all, Dame said he thinks this year's festival turned out much better.
As you probably would have seen, as it relates to the size of the village, some of the infrastructural changes that we had, the flow, the show, the Road Fever Parade, which was extended, obviously a lot bigger. Yes, we may have had some minor incidences, but people with exuberance and energy and excitement sometimes get out of hand, but it was well contained by the Royal Bahamas Police Force.
Now, there was a bit of an issue with ticketing. Patrons who purchased tickets at Cash and Go still ended up standing in line for an armband once they arrived at the concert venue. Dame said the commission is working on making that process a bit smoother. Despite that, though, the carnival, he said, has been dubbed a success.
We're pleased at the professional way that the vendors are approaching the whole exercise, the professionals that are involved, the artists that are involved. Compared to last year, like I told you earlier, we're streamlining the suit. We're tailor-making the suit, and we have to tweak a few more things as we move, but bear in mind that this project, Bahamas Junkanoo Carnival, has multiple moving parts.